Power down in my soul. Let the Spirit of God. I'm going all the way with the Lord. Without God on my side, see I did no truth was in my soul. Oh, and Jesus I did not know. But one day somebody told me that he died just to save me. And since that day I've been running for my life. Oh, Jesus is on his blessed blood. And with his blood, by his stripes, and with his power, I'm going to see. I'm going on. Oh, yes, I am. Without God on my side, anything I did about, no truth was in my soul. And Jesus, I did not know. But one day, somebody told me that he died just to save me. Except that day, I've been running for my life. Oh, Jesus is all. His blessed touch. Lord, with his love. And by his stripes, oh, with his power, just to let us see. Oh, I'm going on. Oh, Jesus is Lord. He lets it come. Oh, with his love. But oh, Jesus is all. His blessed touch. Oh, with his blood, Lord, and by his stripes. Oh, with his power, my Lord, Jesus,
You are listening to Bitter Cup Media, where inspired, controversial conversation matters. Your broadcast will begin in less than 2 minutes. We thank you for joining, and remember, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
though he slay me, yet will I trust him. I'll trust in the Lord. So talked about and misunderstood. Yes, I've been lied on. But still, we've been made. Endure for a night. Lord, I'm glad. I still have joy. After all, I still have my joy. Everybody say, oh. The world didn't give it. Hey, this joy The world can't take it away. Say. Hey. Your hands up. Here we go. After all that I've been through. Still joy. Hey, still. I still have joy. Still. I still have joy.
Good evening. I'm Carol Mayette from that OAKLAND, and you're listening to Issues After Dark with Donna and Dion.
Because the nighttime is the right time to have inspiring, controversial conversations that matter. It's time for Issues After Dark with your hosts, Donna Williams and Dion Evans. Issues After Dark is a deeper dive into today's breaking news, trending social media, and pop culture from a biblical perspective. Gather your thoughts, get your questions ready. Your hosts, Donna and Dion, will be taking your calls via the Bitter Cup Media Zoom line, as well as interacting with your social media commentary regarding today's topics. And now, Issues After Dark with Donna Williams and Dion Evans.
It's a beautiful day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's Issues After Dark. Donna Williams in red. The lady in red. The lady in red. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm your big brother, Dion Evans, looking like a football coach or something. I'm looking terrible.
Why would you say that? You don't look terrible.
Because I don't like my hair at this. I like my hair either cut nicely or cut off. But because of the weather and because of my health right now, I can't just do that. So I have to err on the side of health. I cannot err on the side of beauty.
Exactly. Yeah, health before beauty. That's a new thing.
Like an hour ago, I had this throbbing under my cheek. You know where your sinuses are?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't even know how to get whatever's in my sinuses in my cheek area. I don't even know how to get that out. The sinuses up here, I know how to get that out. But down here, so my wife gave me a water bottle, a hot water bottle, and that kind of helped. But we're kind of in a situation, Donna.
Yeah.
We're kind of both under the weather. And so I don't have my nurse. So I'm fit to be tied.
Does she have her nurse?
Oh, she didn't have a nurse. She has a doctor.
But does she have her doctor?
She has her doctor. She has her masseuse.
And please don't say Dr. Feelgood.
No, she won't allow me to be any of that right now. I tried.
Good.
She looked at me about an hour and a half ago. She looked at me. She said, "Does anything stop you from wanting?"
Is he a man?
I said, "No."
That's all I got to say.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, if you give me a little something, I might actually get better. My sickness is not unto death, but you can heal me with just a touch. I'm just saying. All right, it's After Dark, you guys. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. It is going to be fire.
Yes.
Let's say hello to the folks who have already started giving us some comments. Carol Mayette, she says, "Oh hey, yeah, Carol. Welcome back."
Hi, Carol.
That's what's up. Lana Trotter Kane, she says, "Hi, excited for the night show." That's what's up.
Oh wow.
Gabby says, "Present."
Hey, Gabby.
Present. Nina Bina, our favorite, one of our faves. She says hello. Hey, I was thinking yesterday that Nina Bina, she has a nonprofit that we have not really done any interview about. Next week, we got to find out what day is better for her. Next week cannot go by without us having a conversation with her about what her nonprofit does, because her nonprofit actually helped Bitter Cup Media.
Oh,
And so,
nice.
Oh, it's for profit. I'm sorry. It's for profit.
Hey.
She has a for profit.
Hey. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that either. So we make that happen. And then our residential, DA, Sharonda.
Sharonda.
Those eyes mean looking, right?
I don't know. You guys, you're the generation of the emoji.
Oh, no, not my generation. My generation ain't about no emoji.
Oh,
that's like our kids.
I thought you guys came around when emojis came in. When you came to technology.
Look, I don't send emojis because I don't really understand what emojis mean.
Sharonda just gave you a correction.
What'd she say?
She's public defender, not a DA.
Oh, public defender. She's our residential public defender. I got to get it right.
Yeah.
I told you I got my brain ain't working as sharp as normal. Yeah. But I'm ready for the night show though.
I don't know who we're going.
So Donna, let's get into it. Here are our segments for this evening. Again, the whole overall on Thursday's marriage. First segment is the importance of communication regarding everything.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Yeah. In marriage, nothing, absolutely nothing, can bypass the communication test.
Nothing.
Everything.
Got to communicate.
You got on the littlest of details. And I get it. Most people, especially if they get well into their adulthood without marriage, they have an adulthood way of being, an adulthood way of doing things. But then when you get married, communication is so remedial for you. You got to go all the way back and build that thing up.
You got to understand what communication is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I guess that would be smart to discuss what communication is, because it's not just talking at somebody.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Right. Nope.
So, we'll get into that. Segment 1, we bring our special guest, Leticia Evans, who is boycotting her nurse duties. That's all right. I love her. Segment number 2. Things a spouse needs to know. Part 1. You gotta get your whistle out, Donna. So we have agreed to create separate from each other 5 things.
I love this segment.
5 things a spouse needs to know.
Okay.
5 things a spouse needs to know. No particular order. And my 5 things, 2 of them are to the wife, 2 of them are to the men, and 1 of them are to both.
Okay.
Let's see what she has.
Right.
Things a spouse needs to know. That's part 1. And then in segment 3, we will go with part 2 with our special guest, Leticia Evans. Leticia Evans, even. I like that. Yeah. So I'm looking at her off camera. She's ready to go when we come back from our first break. Donna, what was the best thing that happened to you today?
Dion, I just have to say, this is not my favorite question ever. I know, I'm just so seasoned, shall we put it that way, that I'm just grateful to get up and say, he woke me up this morning, touched me with a finger of love, and I got up clothed in my right mind.
Leticia and I was in this restaurant in Hayward. It's breakfast spot.
Yes.
And this dude came walking in, and I told Leticia, I said, it's time to go. And because she didn't see him. Her back was to him. I said, it's time to go. She said, what's going on? I said, this dude ain't clothed in his right mind. He ain't clothed in his right mind. We gotta go.
Let me say this about your music that you use to bring us in before we start. You are definitely an old soul when it comes to gospel music. You had me pat my foot like the old folks when the quartet was up singing on the wooden floors back in the old church. This is old school gospel.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
A lot of this, a lot of the new stuff I can't. It's not gospel.
No, I don't know what it is.
It's pop inspirational something. But it's not. It's not gospel.
Yeah,
And
but
so
one thing
I have a low tolerance. I'd rather play the stuff that we grew up on and people can kind of, some of the stuff, if I play the new stuff, I think I'd explain it. Like we played a song that's not old school, but it's not new, called Spiritual. And I was like, okay, this song has no biblical value. I played it because I like the beat.
Spiritual.
You know that song, you're not a natural.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
the song, I mean, the groove in it is so smooth.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. Well, the lyrics are a little suspect in the old ones. Like, what does it mean I'm running for my life?
If anybody asks you what's the matter with me, I'm just saying. I got 2 new songs.
I'm running. Oh, you got 2 new?
I got 2 new songs for the night that I know are going to have you out your seat. Okay. I guarantee you.
You had me shouting up here one day, doing the ugly face. I don't know.
These songs are the songs that if your choir is judged on how well they sing these songs. And if these 2 new songs today, if your choir messed these 2 songs up, you might as well just shut the church down because it's over. Might as well just shut it down. Get you a new choir director. Same.
A new musician.
Yesterday in track and field, we won all 4 levels.
Are you kidding me?
All 4 levels.
Yes.
I was made known today that has not happened in a mighty long time.
Are you kidding me?
In years. And wow. I was like, wow, that's cool. I was very proud of my relay teams. I was very proud of my my sprinters, my jumpers. Had a lot of kids that had anxiety issues. This is their first track meet ever in their life. Yeah. And I had to just give them a lot of encouragement along the way and be like, hey, look, you guys are going to do all right. Why do we practice? To get better. I said, no, we practice so that you'll know what you're doing in the track meet. I said, you know what you're doing. Let's just do it. And one of my young men who I had to give that speech in particular, he came in second in the triple jump.
Wonderful. Triple jump.
Triple jump. And I had a young lady who was hyperventilating, and she came second in the triple. She said, I don't know, Coach, I've never done it. I said, you've been doing it for a week. I said, you just didn't know you were doing it. I said, I had you doing bounding drills, and those drills were triple jump moves. I didn't tell you that. I said, I tell all the kids, I'm Mr. Miyagi of coaching.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off, paint the fence. You may not know what you're doing, but when I show you what you're doing, you'll realize, oh, I did know all the time.
That is good stuff.
But I was really impressed with my relays, the 4x1 and the 4x4, and my hurdlers. My hurdlers swept the hurdles. Took first, second, and third place.
Coach Dion, come on now. Hey,
we do what we do, and we do
even
it
if you don't have your nerves. Even
Yeah.
if you don't have your nerves. See that?
Yeah, even if now imagine if I had my nerves. Lord Jesus. All right, let's take this quick break and come back on the other side with our special guest, Leticia Evans.
If it wasn't for the Lord, where would I be? My life was nothing until He set me free. What a change He made in my life. No more compromising, the wrong for the right. I want you to say it again. If it wasn't for the Lord, where would I be? My life was nothing until He set me free. What a change He made in my life. No more compromise, the wrong for the right.
because he made. I don't talk because he made the difference. I don't live just because he made. I don't give because he made. He made. Lord made the difference. He gives me joy. He gives me joy. The passion all the time. From the first moment to the last, he was with me. He blows out my fears. He gives me joy. And I be the man on the clouds. I'm on the clouds. From the first moment to the last, he walks with me. Walks with me. Walks on my feet, telling me I am not alone. He made me. Yes, he did. I don't know like I do. I don't. He must talk like I do. All the planet different. I don't. No. You don't know. I don't even think. Oh, cry Jesus, not me, 'cause I throw hands. Try Jesus,
Lordy.
please don't try me.
Issues After Dark, Donna Williams, Dion Evans, our special guest in studio.
Leticia, hey.
Leticia.
Yeah.
You know, she's cutesy on screen.
She's what?
She's cute.
You make a. Yes, she is.
I'm just saying, even in
cute.
sickness, she's cute on screen. A lot of people don't look well when they're on screen sick.
Okay, can I say something
Uh-oh.
about a statement that was made that first segment about not having a nurse? I am still nursing him. I am still nursing him.
I knew that.
Tea, hot water and honey, rubbing the back, rubbing the temples.
Hey, why is it why do you need to tell everybody this?
Because you said I was not being a nurse.
Well, no.
And I know I was wearing that hat.
There's different types of nurses. The nurse that I'm looking for.
Did you hear me? I was wearing that hat.
You weren't wearing that.
The nurse's hat.
You weren't wearing the nurse's hat. I was looking for. You don't get to choose.
You were looking for a dirty nurse. I'm going to be a nurse.
What is wrong with that nurse? That nurse exists
somewhere. If she's sick, she's not there.
I need my whistle.
We need to have a conversation about where she goes.
Where's my whistle?
In sickness.
Oh, the whistle.
So our first segment is about the importance of communication regarding everything. Our special guest, Leticia Evans, is here with us. You want to go ahead and kind of share with us your thoughts on that opening piece, the importance of communication regarding everything, especially in marriage.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you.
Oh, the importance of communication. It's like the most critical thing. I can say so because I'd say out of the two of us, I probably am the worst communicator. Dion has always been a better communicator. I kind of like hold things in, and it takes me some time to kind of sort through. He's like, let's get it out. Let's get it on the table. Let's discuss. I value that now. In the early years, it was a very difficult thing. It's just like, leave me in my cave. Leave me alone. Let me process this at my time. I'll deal with you at a later time. But I understand the value. And a lot of the times it's the communication is also a challenge. So it's a challenge to look at yourself. It's a challenge to grow in an area. It's a challenge to have even the person who's the initiator of the communication. It's an opportunity for them to grow and learn as well. So it is paramount to relationship, to every part of relationship. I'll say it's still an area I probably have some room for growth in. I'm not quite sure if anyone ever just kind of caps out on growth in this area, but I know personally, I find myself in situations where I struggle a little bit still with communicating how I'm feeling about a particular issue. Mostly, I'll say the greater reason is I don't like conflict. I don't like conflict.
You said something though, Leticia, that you would rather be in your cave until you're ready to. You need to process it before you enter into the conversation. I think that's a part of communication too. That is not understood. That often the one who is the most communicative is the one who is insisting on talking, while the other is not yet ready to enter into that conversation. I'm not saying it's conflict. I'm just not ready to have the conversation because I'm still processing how I'm going to share.
Right.
When we
Or
do
even
discuss this,
what's the trigger? What am I actually feeling? Like just kind of dissecting the emotion maybe that I have regarding whatever the issue might be. It might be something that I've never ever had an opportunity to really take a look at in depth and dissect. Emotions sometimes can be passed on. Something that you may have seen a parent or a sibling or another family member, respond to a particular thing, and you've seen this response and you kind of just take it. And so you don't really know why you do sometimes, why you respond sometimes the way you do. And so it takes that kind of like step back and process and understand in a deeper way why I'm responding this way, why I'm feeling this way.
So allow me to challenge both of you.
Go right ahead.
Because I definitely agree with what you're saying. But if you allow that, what you are also doing is giving the devil room. Because when two people know that they are in a conflict, it doesn't matter if you don't want the conflict to escalate. If you cut off the communication, now the conflict grows in silence. And so by time we do talk about it, it may not even be what it originally was. And so for me, I've always felt the need that if we come upon conflict where communication is necessary, let's have the communication so we can get rid of this conflict before it goes from 0 to 100.
The thing is, I think sometimes in handling something like that, like in the immediate, in the now, is that the emotions are already there. So sometimes you're not going to have the opportunity to have a real dialogue. You're not going to have an opportunity to really have a calm and receptive conversation with the other in the height of the emotion. Sometimes it's, hey, let's step away and let's come back and have this conversation later.
I agree with that. But I also agree that in a marriage, there must be equitable maturity, meaning I can't use what I'm feeling emotional about in this moment to stonewall a conversation that needs to take place.
Okay, now you're using some buzzwords here.
I sure
just
am.
Because
I'm using them on purpose too.
Yes, I know you're using them on purpose, and that's why I say, well, listen, Linda, listen. Number one, communication is not always about conflict. Sometimes it's just about resolving some things that need to be dealt with, some decisions that need to be made, but also the idea of being able to process is what's the word I'm looking for? Is a gift, so that you're not entering into what shouldn't have been conflict now becomes conflict, because now I feel like I've been forced to talk when I'm not ready to talk.
I'm not ready to talk.
Well, then let me ask a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On behalf of the fellas.
Yeah.
If you ain't ready to talk, then don't show emotion that forces me to love you enough to say, hey, what's going on?
Well, I think
because when I love you enough, you huffing or you puffing or whatever you got going on, you silent, you ain't answering quick, and I pick up on it, and I say, hey, honey, what's going on? I am loving you. I know that that's a very vulnerable question that I'm asking, and I don't know what I'm going to hear on the other end. But when you then turn around and say, I don't want to talk about it, I don't feel like talking about it right now. Hold on, sister. I'm coming to you, loving you. I'm trying to communicate to you at a low level while I have no emotion at all. I've only picked up on some emotion you sharing. I caught your hint. You're upset about something. And again, I understand, Donna, you are absolutely right. Communication is not always something that involves conflict, but the communication of conflict is dangerous. It let me tell you, it is dangerous to communication is always important in everything, little things. I don't care if you're going to buy your wife food. If I go to Taco Bell and order Leticia bean and cheese burritos and I tell them to take the onions out, she might throw them burritos in my face because she's going to say that, you know, I like onions. Yeah, but I thought that maybe you didn't want onions today. But when I've ever got a burrito that didn't have onions in it? Well, I just thought, well, stop thinking and stop thoughting. Just get the burrito the way I order it. Now,
Let me ask you a question.
She wouldn't talk like that.
I was wondering if you were going to come clean with that.
She wouldn't talk like that. But when conflict becomes understood, rather it be verbalized or rather it be in silence, when it's been caught in the marriage that conflict is happening, for me, I don't want the devil to have no more room. I want to deal with the conflict. I don't care if we got to shut down. I don't care if wherever we were supposed to go, we can't go. I don't care whatever we're supposed to do, we cannot do. To me, getting back to peace and getting back to harmony is more important to me. And so that's why I'll press it's like, no, you ain't gonna do me like that. You ain't gonna leave me not knowing even what the topic is. I don't even know what the subject matter is. But you got real emotions? That's not fair to me. That's not being loving.
Well, I think you also need to be mindful that sometimes it's not something that you can articulate. It's not something that you can, like, it could just be an emotion. It may be something that you need to work out yourself. Maybe there really isn't an issue that you have to give your input on. Maybe it's something the individual is feeling and knows they have to work through themselves. It's a problem and they have to work through themselves, but they just need you to stand down because they already recognize.
Can I ask an honest question?
Go ahead.
What is a spouse to do when they love their spouse? They see their spouse acting weird or strange, out of the normal. They ask their spouse, are you all right? And their spouse says, I don't want to talk about it. I'm processing some emotions right now. What is the spouse who hears that? What do you suggest they do?
I would say acknowledge it. Okay.
Acknowledge what?
Acknowledge the fact that the person says they're not ready to have the conversation.
I don't know what you're not willing to have a conversation about.
They're not about whatever emotion, whatever it is that you're feeling, that your sensors went up on and that you're able to identify, but then say, let's talk about it later. And let the person, if they say, I'm not prepared to talk about it now, you saying, no, we're going to talk about it now, is pushing them into a place of discomfort that maybe they're not ready to be in.
Well, how is it that you can have absolute communication, nonverbal, that you going through something emotionally, but then you want to leave out words that give your spouse some sense of honor as to what's going on? Why leave your spouse in the dark? And when you, and let's just say, I'm gonna ask an honest question. You say, I come to you and I say, hey, honey, what's going on? I don't want to talk about it. I'm going through something right now. Okay. If I say you don't want to talk about it, you want to talk about it later, how long should I wait? And am I waiting on you to bring it up? Or are you waiting for me to bring it up at a time that you think that I think that you're ready to now talk after I found out the first time you weren't willing to talk? Is it the person who says, I don't want to talk right now? Are you then responsible for coming back?
It should be.
That's my problem.
It should be that person.
Should be.
It should be.
What happens if
I'm saying the onus is on that individual. It should be them.
Can the spouse, again, I'll speak for husbands. I come to you, I say, what's wrong, honey? I don't want to talk about it. I'm going through. Wait, no, let's talk about it. No, I said I'll talk about it later. Okay. Can I go the rest of the day being as happy as I was prior to finding out that you was pissed? Are you going to be mad that I am now acting like nothing's wrong? Can I go ahead and just continue doing what I'm doing and having my gleeful life? Or are you going to punish me for not digging deeper? Are you going to punish me emotionally because I seem to be insensitive to what you're going through emotionally because I'm not probing more?
Not if I've asked you not to probe.
I know this is a losing cause.
If I've asked you not to probe, I'm not going to turn on you and say, why aren't you probing? I've asked you not to probe. What I'm saying is,
you're not going to do that. What you're going to do is 2 hours later say, when I say you want to talk about it, well, obviously you didn't want to talk about it because you let all this time go by. You ain't said nothing else. You was playing games or you was doing this.
I don't think that's the truth.
Maybe not.
Okay, so
I don't think that's the truth in general.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
No, I think if a woman tells her husband, I'm not ready to talk about something, he shouldn't take it personally that she is saying to him, now, something's wrong with you. I don't want to talk to you about this right now. You should understand. She's saying, I need some time to deal with whatever emotion I'm dealing with right now. It may or may not have anything to do with you. But the fact that she's asking for the opportunity to not engage regarding that, I think that should be honored and not taken as a personal offense.
Well,
I say, wait a minute. I say, if she says, I'm not ready to talk about it now, she just communicated with you in response to your question. So the timing of when we have this conversation, maybe it can be articulated that I'm not ready to talk about it now. Maybe in an hour or so, we can sit down and have the conversation.
No, okay. So you said something different. You said something different.
I'm adding to it. I'm adding to it. Yeah, it's only fair to say that we should talk out in an hour or so. There is a concept out there. I don't even know. Wait, Linda. All right. So there is a concept. There's a concept out there that I heard about years ago called the fair fight, where you make an agreement to come together at a certain time to sit down and to have a conversation about whatever the potential conflict may be. One person states, here's where I am, this is what I feel or think. The other person then mirrors to them, okay, here's what I hear you saying, X, Y, Z. And they go, yeah, except you missed B. All right, okay, so A, X, Y, Z, B. Yeah, okay, so here's my response to that. All right, so then you are able to communicate in a way that each understands what the other is saying. But in the heat of a moment, it gets fuzzy. It gets all mixed up.
In marriage education, they call that empathy. It's the empathy listening process. Right. It's very woman slanted. I'm trained in it. I have certification. I'm telling you, I went to the training in Dallas, Texas. I know exactly what you're talking about. The government paid for 100 of us or so to go get that training. And at the end of it, everybody of color that was in that training was saying, is this for particular people? Because black men, for the most part, Hispanic men, this is not how we think. This is not how we process. Our women don't even talk like that. And again, when it comes to communication, just because it's the way you feel doesn't mean that's what's going on.
And that's a truth too. But I think
I'm trying to stop you from going deeper into a cave that I don't want my wife in.
Sure.
I don't want you wasting life in a place that I don't want you hurt.
Right.
And when you tell men have a high need to be needed, and I'll explain that a little bit more later tonight.
And to fix.
Absolutely. And if you tell me you don't need me and don't fix me, well, can I leave? Can I leave the house? Can I go twiddle my thumb somewhere else? Can I go do something on my own to preoccupy my time?
As long as it's not retaliatory.
No, it's not about retaliatory for lack of communication would be immaturity.
Sure.
I'm not talking about that. But I don't get the sense. That's why I'm asking these questions. I don't get the sense that a husband could just go forward with his life while his wife has already told him, I don't feel like talking. I'll talk later. Donna added in an hour or so. And when I heard the or so, that means the hour is not happening. Because when you tell me in an hour, I check the clock. 5:09,
that's the
6:09.
thing. Come on, let's go. Let's have the conversation.
Exactly.
The hour is almost up. You've now put the person on guard. I think
we're married. What in the hell could be going on with my spouse to the point that they cannot talk to me?
It's not about it's about dealing with the emotions within. It's not about you. You've taken the lens and you've pointed on yourself to say, what's wrong with me that my wife doesn't want to share with me what's going on?
No. I'm not doing that. I don't care. I'm not taking it on myself. I know emotionally, I know I haven't done anything. So my thing, I am only interested. My only investment is you.
So if
I'm asking you questions because I care and I love you, and the person who loved you enough to give you their name, the person who loved you enough, you are going to stonewall?
No, you see, you're saying stonewall.
What is
the individual? They've stopped engaging you, stopped talking to you.
When you tell me I don't want, when I've acknowledged that there's something wrong, you acknowledge there's something wrong, but you ain't gonna talk to me, that's not stonewall?
How do you know the person is not going to engage beyond that situation?
You haven't been engaged. You've been sending subliminal messages. That's why I had to ask you, what's going on? The only reason why you said what you said about your emotions is because I asked.
If you're talking about,
are you okay?
If you're talking about loving your spouse and wanting, the health of your spouse, then you would listen to what your spouse have asked for. If your spouse is asking for a bit of time, then the loving thing as a husband would be give that person a bit of time. If they've, the evening is coming to a close and they've not come back to you, then maybe the loving thing might be, honey, did you still want to have that conversation?
Hold on, is that the husband talking or is that the wife?
Oh, that's the husband.
Oh, so you got to come back.
No, I'm not saying.
So the husband's got to come back.
The husband has to always come back. I'm saying you're talking about loving the wife in the situation she's in.
Where is the wife being loving? This is turmoil. It's tormenting.
You've turned the lens on yourself.
No, it's not turning the lens. I can't help you because you won't let me help you.
Maybe. She doesn't need the help in the moment.
We go to break. We'll be back.
Maybe she doesn't need the help in the moment.
Like your witness today. Has the Lord been good to you? to me. I came to sing it again. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Why do you think I'm so much? You've been mighty good to me. It ain't because you did a whole lot. Oh, you've been mighty good to me. Been mighty good, Lord, to I can't thank God enough for the wonderful things He has done for me. Oh, I can't.
Yes.
Woke up this morning to somebody in a video talking about something I posted in a video. If it wasn't me, then would you even get
Issues
the
After
video?
Dark.
Just because
Donna Williams, Deion Evans, our special guest on Thursday. The amazing Leticia Evans.
Yes.
Is,
Yes.
she's worth her weight in gold. Sharonda Wheat, she says, I respect Leticia's perspective. I too need time to process things so that I don't respond emotionally. I get that. I think anybody who loves you gets that. But nobody who loves you is just going to be okay with leaving you there. And I hope that's understood. I know I'm gonna keep going. She says she's engaged. I do know that. That's awesome. She says word have power. We must craft our responses carefully. Responding impulsively can make matters worse. I get that.
I like that.
I get that. And that's why I also believe in marriage, you got to understand that communication isn't always so scientific. Sometimes I don't know how to say it. So I may say it a certain way and then have to peel back. Like, now that I've heard how I said it, I don't like the way I said it. This is what I really
I mean, that's the thing. It's all going to communication can sometimes be murky and difficult and kind of hard to sort through. But I mean, that's a part of marriage life too. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about last week. Have those conversations. They're going to be tough.
Yeah.
They're you're not going to always be sitting on the same side of the issue, but that doesn't mean that there's no growth. That doesn't mean that there's no help that comes from the communication. There's always growth that's going to come from it. You're going to get a different perspective maybe than what you had walking into the conversation. So yes, I saw Gabby's comment. Yes, it's tough. It's not going to be easy. I don't think it ever really gets easy, but I think it gets easier as you learn tools, and they're not going to be the same. There's not like one magic pill that you can take to learn communication and even your mate's communication style. I think it's as you go. It's as you walk the life together, you start to understand more and more about one another, and you sometimes deal with things head on. Sometimes it's chaotic, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it has a great end result, but always there's growth. Always.
Nina Beta chimes in. She says it's the delivery. I would agree.
I think that's true too.
Yeah.
Sharonda Weed says yes, Leticia. Sometimes it's inarticulate. Help me out.
Inarticulable.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I like
And
that.
then she comes back and gives 10 points to Leticia. This is my favorite comment, though. I get Dion's
Of course,
point.
it's your favorite.
It puts,
Right.
but listen to her,
It's
not
true.
because I like it.
No,
It puts the spouse in a difficult position, and it also may cause them to believe they've done something. They're going to be concerned and wonder. We're not mind readers. Absolutely.
That's
Men love
true.
ESPN, but they do not have ESP.
We know that.
Now let me say this, and I got to say this because a comment that we had from the Kane family. Alana chimes in here. She says, "Wow, my husband is like Leticia, and I'm like Pastor Dion. Wow." The reason why I say that is because, like I told you guys in the opening segments of these series, marriage is a fingerprint. No marriage is
Right.
the same. There are a lot of similarities, but we have to, like, sometimes we say this is how men think. Well, that it's known that this is what majority of men think, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's flipped.
Right.
Sometimes it is completely flipped. And me and my wife, like, there's certain things my wife likes doing around the house. I ain't got no part of that. I'm not outside the house. I don't have no desire.
Don't go stepping in that water yet.
All right, I'm leave alone. Leave that water alone. I don't have Galatians big enough. Nina chimes in. She says everyone has to figure out their feelings are facts or not. And see, Nina just said something there. And this is my concern. I'm always concerned with someone having feelings and those feelings being rooted in what the facts are.
Your feelings aren't facts.
Well, your feelings could be factual. You could be right.
They could be based on facts.
Right. Right. That's right. That's right. Better way to say it, Donna. Your feelings aren't facts. They can be based on the facts. But they can also be based on hypotheticals that do not exist at all.
That's true.
And for me, as a spouse who is trying to be the best spouse I can be, I don't want I'm not interested in probing my wife when she doesn't want to talk because I think I've done nothing wrong. I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything. And if she tells me I did something, let me know because I want to clear it. I want to clean it up so that you're not in pain. I don't want none of my wife's pain. I don't want to be the trigger. I don't want to be the cause. That's just how I am. That's how I have lived all 27 years of this marriage and 30 years of relationship. I don't want her pain. I don't want a tear to fall from her eye because she's pained by me.
You know what mode you're in with that, Dion?
Say that
you're
again.
In the fix it. You know what mode you're in? You're in the fix it mode.
That's my job as a husband.
Yeah, but sometimes the wife doesn't want to be fixed right then.
Oh, so she just won't be broke.
No. Here's what I'm saying.
She don't want to be fixed. She don't want to be broke. Maybe she won't be.
What did I say right then?
That's what she wants.
Right
so she just want to run out of gas.
Okay, Dion.
It's
help
women.
Me understand. We can't do.
Help you understand.
We can't say understand her, and at the same time, we're gonna dismiss understanding you.
No. Here we go. Putting a Dion spin on it. Here's what I'm saying: is that sometimes women process by talking. They just talk it all out. They're communicating, but the husband is thinking, okay, I need to jump in there and let her know how we can make this work. All right. And all she wants to do, because here's what's happening. When I'm talking, when I finally get to this place of talking, I'm also figuring out what needs to be done, how I need to address it, how it needs to be dealt with. I'm processing even when I'm talking. And I don't need the man to say anything. I just need you to hear me. So by the time I get to, okay, yeah, you know what? And you're like, couldn't you have figured that out like 15 minutes ago? Couldn't we have had this conversation about it? No, because I had to talk it out to get to the place where I can even have the conversation. All right.
I hear you. If that's what you want, if that's really what you want, then when I ask, is something wrong? Why not just say, can I use it as a sounding board? I don't want you to talk. I'm just processing some stuff. What husband, what spouse, I don't want to say husband, because obviously people are different in marriage.
Right.
But for me, if I come to my spouse and I say, is something wrong? Number one, don't lie. Because I know you. Don't lie to me. You open lying to me. I know something's wrong. And when you do that, I'm only going to probe more. But what is wrong with when I recognize that you are throwing me all the signs that you're not comfortable about something? What is wrong with saying, allow me to, can I just sound some stuff off of you without you talking?
That's fair.
I mean, it's fair, and it sounds wonderful. In the moment, would it be words that a person will come up with? Maybe, maybe not. And I don't think that you should charge, your mate, or hold that against your mate if they're not prepared or they don't have those words in that moment. Hey, can you be my sounding board? Maybe I just need to sort it through. I can't even have you as my sounding board because it would sound like you would say I was crazy. I need to sort it out.
So let me ask an honest question.
So it makes sense.
Can I ask an honest question?
Sure.
If I, as a spouse, am to grant you all of your communication privileges as you want them, what happens to me?
No, I'm not.
I mean, what am I supposed to do? I guess it's a better question.
I get it.
What am I supposed to do?
You're put in a bad spot. You're put in a tough place.
Who put me there?
Your spouse put you there.
So what am I supposed to do?
I mean, I get it. I understand. And I don't think it should be a consistent thing. It shouldn't be a way of life. But if it's an instance, if it's an occasion, there shouldn't be any harm. If it's a way of communication, a style of communication, that's a problem for sure.
You didn't answer my question.
You're saying what you're supposed to do.
What am I supposed to do?
I think you
Are
do.
You thinking
I think you do have to push. I mean, I'll speak personally now between you and I, and not more general. You've had to push me sometimes, and you know what? In retrospect, in the moment, I didn't like it. And then in retrospect, I was like, you know what? I am glad that we addressed it. It opened a door for us to have further conversation about it in the future, but it wasn't comfortable. So I get it. It puts you in a tough spot. I think, again, if it's an occasional thing, and your mate is saying, hey, can you just give me this moment? And this is not the way they normally communicate. I think it's fair to give them the moment. If they are always saying to you, can you just not deal with me? Can you just not ask me the questions? Can you just not probe? Then I think that's a big problem. And I think in those instances, you have to do it because you are forging the communication. That person has cut off all forms of communication.
So have I heard you correctly?
Okay, go ahead.
Did you say just
wait,
now,
I need time to think this through. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you just say that there are times where I have forced the conversation?
True.
And you appreciated that.
In retrospect.
Because of what? What was your reason again?
Because it opened me up for the conversation. It did give me after it was hot. It was hot for a while because you would always, you would kind of go in. And so it would be hot for a while. But when it started to calm, I could then say, okay, you know what? That's a good point. And he's right. Or that's good. I do need to look at that. Or I do need to ask myself those questions. Sometimes.
So in marriage,
that's happened.
So you speak of the positive of me refusing to allow you to go an hour later.
On occasion.
Yeah. Give me a moment where I let you just go on and have your time about yourself and it got better. Because in our marriage, I always say, do not give the devil room.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
when conflict is happening, we may not know what the conflict's about, and the conflict may not be about each other. Mm-hmm. But the longer one of us is in inner conflict and the other knows about it and they're getting no answers, the devil is making progress in the marriage in little ways.
How so?
So how what's to do? What to do?
It's tough. I don't know if I can give the answer. I don't think there is an answer. This is one of those things. I think, as you're walking, as we were talking earlier, as you're walking with your mate and you're learning your mate and you're learning how they communicate and maybe some of the shortcomings, then you know when to push and when not to push. I think, that's something that you probably will grow into as you continue your walk together. I don't think there is a clear-cut answer to that question.
Don?
I don't think communication is I think it's, like I said, it's murky. It's tough, and
it's continuously moving.
it's consistently changing.
It changes.
And I think communication is when you have the conversation, whether it's in the moment or later at some point in time, is each understanding what the other is saying. See, the issue with communication is that, and I've heard this, is that we hear faster than we talk. So that's why we're always processing our response to the person as they are talking, because we've already heard what they're saying. And so now we're going to jump in there and we're going to put it. So what we wind up doing is giving our opinions to each other rather than understanding what each is saying. We're not getting it. We're not questioning. We're not mirroring back. We're not pulling out exactly what they're trying to get us to say. Exactly what they're saying. We're hearing what we think they're saying,
Right.
without really communicating, without really asking the questions. And I know this sounds like some kind of business transaction, but sometimes that's the way it comes out. You have to ask the clarifying questions. You have to ask, okay, now is what I'm understanding you to say is,
Right.
and it's tough because we don't communicate like that.
No one communicates that way.
But
Yeah.
we got to learn to communicate like that.
Yeah, I
We
think
have to learn.
when Dion was in that marriage and family, I forget what it's called, but he was actually traveling and started to do marriage education. That's one of the tools that were provided to the couples. I think on occasion, a few times we tried it out, and I think it was successful. The thing about it is, how do you make that into something comfortable and natural?
Right.
It's not a natural way of communicating. Reiterating what someone has said back to them. Am I getting you this right? That's an odd exchange, especially in a marriage.
Right.
So making that into a livable, breathable, natural exchange. That's the difficult thing. It's essential.
Again, it comes back to the fingerprint that it is each couple and how you grow to learn one another, and that's key as well. To understand one another, to be able to be intuitive, as you said, I'm sensing something's going on. Tell me what's going on, but also knowing how your spouse is wired in certain moments. You're intuitive about it, but you're also saying, okay, this is probably when she says or he says, I don't want to talk about it now, then I should give them space. But I can't let them have too long a rope, right? Because then now I'm feeling some kind of way.
Right.
But understanding one another and how we navigate life, even in marriage, is key.
Yes,
I think
it's critical.
I agree. It is critical. And I believe we can have 100 conversations about communication, and every one of those conversations will be different. They will have great value, and there will be misunderstandings because the points don't always add up.
Yeah.
Right.
The sticking points just don't always match.
Right.
But what is important is that a married couple know what communication is for their marriage.
Yeah.
I don't bear the responsibility of knowing how other couples communicate because there's so many different styles.
Yeah.
Communication is important, but I need to know how communication works in my marriage.
Yeah.
And when your spouse is blowing hot air or slamming doors, that's communication.
Yes, it is.
And if you are wise as a spouse, you better walk over there and say, hey, is everything all right? And then be prepared for a conversation. My concern, however, is when you're walking over to prepare for a conversation because you really care about what your spouse is exhibiting behavior that is not normal. And then they don't want to talk. Because like I said, giving room for the devil. When we come back, 5 things a spouse needs to know. Issues After Dark. Donna Williams, Dion Evans, special guest, Leticia Evans.
This is Seth Quinn Evans, and you are listening to Bitter Cut Media.
Yes, my potential savior, but the key of the fire, do not pass me by. Savior, Savior, hear my heart. Well, I miss that one morning. I don't want to love, alone. My Savior, when down in the heart and see my way, I need the Lord to help every day. Don't want the Lord to help me now. I need him every hour, I need him every minute, I need him every day. I don't want the Lord, I live life every day so the Lord will come and work on my way. Oh, I'm a child. Do not pass me by. Do not pass me by.
You fall in love, simple. The sky up above, simple, is caving in. Wow! You never been so nuts about a guy you wanna love, you wanna cry, you cross your heart and hope to die till it's over, and then.
Issues After Dark. We're back. We're back. Getting ready to go into segment number 2. Donna Williams, Dion Evans, our special guest on Thursday. Leticia Evans.
Yeah.
Always bringing great commentary. Always.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, can I
Absolutely.
share something from last week? Do you remember we talked about last week? We were talking about like expectations and things from your spouse, from your mate. And I remembered, I just had to share because I thought I had a good laugh about it. I remembered as a kid, my dad, if my mom was upset, she might lay out on the couch or something, go to sleep on the couch. And my dad would get a cover and he would lay the cover over her. And then he would tell us to keep quiet, go in our rooms and, keep things down because our mom was sleeping. He'd buy her food and he'd place it in the oven. So when she woke up, she'd have. So anyway, one evening we were having a tiff. We're newly married in Southern California. And I'm assuming that my husband is like my dad. It's like, hey, this is my reference point, right? So we have an argument. I go downstairs onto our futon and I lay down in a funk thinking, okay, I'm going to sleep here. And he is going to come at some point through the night and he's going to put a cover on me and it's going to make everything great. Well, I froze that night. And I just remember saying to myself, he's not my dad. And I can't put those requirements on him. I can't project my dad's behavior onto him. It was a real huge learning experience for me. Like I literally froze that night. I woke up and thought, he never came downstairs. He never thought to get a cover. But it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So I thought I'd share that. Anyway, it was really
I'm so
funny
glad you
story.
shared that. I'm so glad you shared that.
But let me share
because
this.
it's going to circle us right back to our subject.
Here we go, though. You're a great husband in your own right. I'll say that. In your own right.
I know.
All right, go ahead. Start this.
I know because you said it before.
Okay.
You notice how we had a fight. You went downstairs and you got on the futon.
Mm-hmm.
And your expectation was that I would understand you were not happy.
Mm.
And that I would take the time to do something to adjust you so that you could be happy. What is the difference when it comes to communication? That was a long
using the example from earlier. I think you still do what we chatted about. That is, again, not in a common form of communication, but in a rare, one-off situation. If your spouse says to you, they need a moment, the loving thing in that instance would be give them a moment. Maybe if you know their communication style, maybe you suggest, hey, honey, can we talk before we go to sleep? Before we go to bed at night? Or can if you know and are trying to be loving in the moment, maybe you make a suggestion like that. So that it puts the onus, the wife can't find an avenue out. She will address it before the evening's up.
What if she doesn't?
If she doesn't address it, then it's a problem. And I
for
think
who?
it's going to be a problem for both. because it's going to disrupt the house. One of us haven't done.
It's all no. It's not going to disrupt the house. It's already disrupted the house. Now, if she doesn't address it by the end of the night, she just goes to sleep. The devil has a foothold, not room. It's a
problem. It's a problem.
What spouse who loves their spouse sees the devil about to enter the house and isn't going to fight like hell to get that devil out?
I don't think there's any harm in that. I don't think there's any harm in trying to keep the devil at bay.
What do we do when there's a spouse in the house who don't give a damn about the devil coming through the window? We both see.
I think what you're expressing is a form of communication, a style of communication. If you're saying if the person doesn't care, this is how they operate. They don't care. They're not trying to address the issue.
Right.
They are just trying to put you off so they don't have to address the issue.
It's called power.
That's
power.
A problem. That's a problem. That's not what we're discussing. That's not what we were chatting about.
Well, no. If the spouse tells me, I'll talk about it later, and you said, and Donna said, say, can we talk about before we go to bed at night? And I asked, well, what if they decide they're not going to do that? They're just going to go to sleep.
Then you have every right to start the conversation.
That is not going to work. Yeah.
You have every right to start it.
That is not going to work.
In that instance, you have every right to force the conversation, because
you can't.
The acknowledgement
to
share it later in the evening came from the mouth of the person that asked for the request.
But here's what I know about the person who said they didn't want to talk. For me, this is just me talking. I think it's a very immature move. It's a very immature.
It could be
move.
It could be,
because good and dadgum well I love you. Why would you do that to? Why would you, even if you didn't want to hear my voice, at least let me be a sounding board? Because let me tell you what often happens. Not us, although it has happened with us. Mm-hmm. When you finally decide to have the conversation, I'm looking at you like you put all that damn emotion into that. That wasn't even worth 2 farts in the bathroom. How in the you've been stonewalling me. You've been acting weird all day because I would rather found out that something grandiose has happened. You're talking about something that has nothing to do with us. You done got flipped out over something you saw on social media and it bugged you the wrong way. And I happened to come home in the midst of the bugging, and all of a sudden now you treat me indifferent. This is why, as a husband like myself, I don't want to say a husband, I'm a person like me. I have a hard time loving you enough to recognize something's wrong with you. I love you enough that I don't want you even struggling another minute with whatever you're struggling with. And if whatever you're struggling with is me, then I definitely want to help you. I'm the best one to help you get over whatever issue you got with me. But when I find out a day later, after you lied about going to circle back, and I find out that this is really some piss match about something that ain't got nothing to do with our house, you disrupt the unity of our house with your emotion.
Yeah,
we don't get that time back.
No, you don't. You don't. Again, like I said, I think, yes, some of it is immaturity. Some of it's learning. Some of it's, that happened a lot in our early years too. Some of it is knowing the communication style, knowing the other's communication, knowing some of their background. We talked about that last week, about forgiveness and how you say, I'm sorry. Some of those things are outgrowths. I don't know what's the proper term. They are birthed from our experience, an inability to be able to maybe communicate in certain environments, or when they feel under threat, an inability to feel like they can communicate, or they feel like, hey, this is going to lead to something that maybe isn't going to be fruitful to us in this time.
You just
not saying that it would be the greatest thing, but some people don't like conflict.
You know what? I hear people say that a lot. Some people don't like conflict. And do you know that those are the people who start the most conflict? See, somebody like me who don't have no problem with conflict, I don't start conflict because I don't like conflict. But I ain't got no problem with conflict. I'm not scared of conflict. But let me ask you a question. Let's kind of flip this table real quick. Let's say you came home and I'm, blowing wind and I'm, kind of closing things kind of hard, making a lot of noise. And you come up to me and say, honey, are you okay? So I want to talk about it. Honey, are you okay? I said, I don't want to talk about it. And then I get my keys and I leave the house.
Okay. You're putting a little bit more emotion on that one.
No. See, you can't dictate the emotion.
If you're saying,
your emotion
honey,
kept you in the house. What happens if my emotion?
Hold on a second. Let's step back.
Hold up.
If you're going to make these two situations equal,
no, I'm not making them equal. You don't have a right to equality.
If you're saying
people are people, and you can't say because I would do it this way.
No,
you would do it this way.
I'm not saying that. You're using this example. You said you're going to flip.
I am flipping it. I'm saying if I don't want to talk about it, I leave.
And you say, hey, let's talk about it later. I don't feel like talking about it now.
Right. And I leave. How would you feel about me leaving?
Of course, I would not want you to leave.
Why?
Because I would feel you were out in an emotional state out of the house without me. And anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Do you know
of the
that?
House.
Do you know all that feeling you have right there?
I'm chasing you.
Is the same. All that feeling right there is how the opposite spouse feels when you stay in the house. The only difference is we have to sit there and watch you. We have to sit there and watch you. And we can't do nothing about it. It's not like we can go watch the Warriors game in the other room and be okay. It's not like we can, just play a video game or something like that and be okay. It's not like we can sit in the easy chair and just start playing, going through TikTok because it's insensitive. So my question is, what does a spouse do when a spouse doesn't want to talk but has emotion that one spouse has picked up on but has been told, I don't want to talk to you? Give me space. Give me time. I need to know what I want to respect it, but I don't know what to do.
Regarding, I think I hear your heart, and I think it is something that should be articulated, at least to the point of removing you from the equation. To say, Kenny, you're not the issue. You're not. It's not about something that's between us.
That wouldn't work for me.
It still wouldn't work.
Let me tell you why. Because there's nothing outside of us that should be controlling our house like this. My wife is being controlled by something that has nothing to do with me or our kids.
Well,
what has that much? What has that? Who is that important? Who is that important? What is that important that it has held you emotionally hostage? But yet it has nothing to do with the insides of our home.
No, I get it.
And I'm supposed to be okay with some boogeyman outside of our house controlling the inside of our house? I don't want to fight you because I love you. But I also got to wonder, at what point do we call a spade a spade? You tripping.
Let me ask this question, Dion. Let's say that, because you mentioned the thing is something that has nothing to do with us. So let's say that the wife or the husband comes in the house and you sense something is up and something's not right. And so you say, what's going on? What's happening? And they hesitate for a minute and they go, well, this is this. What's your response? Is it, that ain't nothing? Why are you all upset about that? How do you support them through that? That's what I'm saying, but some people would. And so sometimes the fear is, if I mention it, I'm going to get really, that's what you are upset about. But that's no big deal.
I don't think I have to act like that for the person who reveals that to know you're being immature. You know you being immature.
This kind of takes us back to the first hot conversation that we had about, saying, hey, I feel like I'm drowning. Being vulnerable enough to say, hey, I feel like I'm drowning, or hey, I feel like I need more of your time. Having the ability to articulate that and then receive a response like, stand up, you're not drowning. Or,
But if the truth is you're not drowning, what else is there to say?
The truth is you're not dealing with the emotional.
See, that's where you lose me. People like me, that's where you're going to lose me.
If you don't have a
right, listen, you don't have a right to tell me that your emotions trump the facts of our marriage.
It's not.
I'm not hearing that.
That's not the case.
So let me ask you a question.
That's not the case. So let's go back to it. So if I say to you, hey, I feel like I'm drowning.
I'm going to ask.
And you didn't ask what. And you didn't ask what is making you feel this way.
No, I would have to ask that. I would have to ask that question.
You're not drowning.
I would have to ask that question. What makes you feel like you're drowning?
What makes you feel like you're drowning?
And then allow you to explain yourself.
And then you would say, stand up.
Depending upon what you said.
You're not drowning.
Depending upon what you said. If I say, well, what makes you feel like you're drowning? You said, well, I don't get as much of your time as I would like. And I feel like, we're disconnected.
That's a different conversation. But I get, you can go ahead.
My point is that ain't true. We are connected. And I'm coming home every day. And we are loving to one another. Maybe you're not getting as much time as you want this week, but you can't tell me we don't spend time. I mean, it's a hypothetical situation here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So the way a person is handled in an immediate time, when a person asks, hey, what's going on? Let's just say you're a mate, you see your mate is struggling with something. You say to them, but what's going on? I can see something is
Why do
happening.
I have to do that? Let's just be honest. Why, if you're the one going through something, we're in the age of text messaging.
Now,
why let me come home from whatever I'm going through all day to walk in the house to find out it's been booby trapped by your emotions?
Well,
stop for a minute. Is that fair?
That's not fair.
Is it when I come home, when you come home, what is the expectation when you come home?
So you're going to be greeted. It's going to be a welcoming environment.
It's going to be welcoming. It's going to be peaceful. We're going to be loving one another. But I walk home, I come in the house, and I am being blasted by your silence. When I walk into a room, you walk out the room. Again, we're making this up. At one point, I come to you and say, hey, this ain't the greeting I expect. This ain't how we usually exchange pleasantries. And then you say, I don't want to talk about it.
That would be wrong. I think that would be wrong.
But that's your entire argument tonight.
But if you came in, you were upset, or you came in, you felt the tension, and your spouse was walking away from you. That's an indication something's going on. They keep leaving the room that you're in. They're saying, I don't want to talk about it. Not, honey, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I don't want to talk about it. That's a different vibe. Yes, of course you're going to feel like something is wrong.
Tisha.
That's a different vibe.
Come on, Tisha.
It's the truth.
Immaturity is immaturity. I don't care if you believe your feelings are real. Come on, let's just be honest here. It isn't right. No spouse should walk into their home and be greeted by their spouse going through an eclectic amount of emotion to the point that they can't even talk to their spouse.
That's true. The spouse.
You're asking a lot.
The spouse who is responsible for the communication. The spouse who's in the home is responsible for the communication. If they're not prepared to communicate at that moment, and or if their communication may come off offensive or create a tension, and they say, "Hey, I don't want to talk about that right now. Can we talk about this later?" I think that's a fair thing, even though it may cause discomfort, because the opposite of that might be, I'm going to talk about this It may not make sense. It's going to come out harsh. It's going to create a bigger problem than could possibly be if you just give me a few moments to sort this out and come back to you to converse.
I'm a tap out.
Me too. Let's tap.
I'm a tap out because I just think, male and female, this ain't even a male or female issue here. This is personality. I'm not, my love for you is not going to allow me. It's just not going to allow me to ignore that you're wounded. I can't ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got bandages and I got gauze pads, I want to give you whatever I got.
And I love that about you. I do.
Here's the problem with you loving that. You create the environment to get it when the environment isn't necessary. So now I done got the gauze pads, the bandages, I done got the anti-itch cream, and I come to you and you say to me,
I want you to be my nurse. I couldn't
get my fingernails done.
That would never be.
And that's minimizing. That's minimizing.
You're making a point. Yes.
My point is, I'm trying to bring everything to the party because I don't want you to feel that way. I love you too much for you to feel that way. I didn't work all day to come home. Who caused you to be like this? Who caused you such angst? I need to know so I can help
handle it.
I can either handle it out there, or at least console you in here.
Then just walk up and give me a hug. Just hold me. Just hold me.
I like that.
I have no problem doing that.
I like that.
Just hold me.
Give me a kiss.
So can I ask a quick question? Let's say you don't want to. Let's say let's go segue. I know y'all know where y'all is. Let's say you don't want to talk. Does that mean we can't have sex?
There you go.
Can we still have sex even though you don't want to talk? Think about it. Think about it.
That's right. That's right. Here's the knowledge that you've been in your paper, a spiritual caper. You be calling me lame, seeking godly wisdom. That's 2,000 years in the making. I'm taking the lesson that holds your deliverance. You feeling this? Asking me how God can save a man, raise a man. The enemy, he plays your man. So why you judging me and you bugging me? Just remember me. Ain't no fear in me. You hearing me? That's right. That's right. You can shout to this, bounce to this, clap to this, just as long as you don't question this. Radical, acrobatical, Jesus Christ fanatical, sabbatical taker, innovator, in love with the creator. Since I was a baby, I know folk hate me, but lately don't really matter what you say. Them silly games you try and play, I represent the one who healed me. God's people, can you feel me? For my people on the left, for my people on the right, for my people on the left, for my people on the right, for my people on the left, for my people on the right, for my people on the left, for my people on the right. Stand up on your feet and praise the Lord. That's right. That's right.
We're back. Issues After Dark. Donna Williams, Deion Evans, our special guest on Thursdays, Leticia Evans. And we got to jump right into it right now. 5 things a spouse needs to know. 5 things a spouse needs to know. We're going to bring our special guest back into the frame. There she goes. How you doing, girl? All right. You want to start first?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I understood the assignment. Clearly. Maybe you didn't communicate it clearly to me. I'm just kidding.
I'll take that. I'll take
things
that.
Spouses need to know.
Yeah, things spouses need to know.
Sometimes we really just want to Netflix and chill. Like really chill. Like not the whole Netflix and chill. Like
and benefits.
Stop it.
I enjoy, one of the things that I really enjoy with Deion is when we used to read books together, we used to like take chapters and read together. I loved that. When we watch movies together, either documentaries or series, I enjoy that. It's like, I don't know, it's like a special movie time with just the two of us.
Can you tell them why we don't do that as much?
Because I fall asleep in the movie. It's always at the end.
It's a trap.
Hey, if it's you know what?
Did you just tell the people it's always at the end? Is that what you just told the people?
It's not always at the end, everybody. It's not always at the end. Okay, but I love the time. Whether I fall asleep or not, I love the time. And because you've brought that to my attention on several occasions, I make sure that I'm up. So that I can stay up through the entire episode, at least an episode with you.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it though.
All right, here's my one. Okay. And again, I wrote mine like 2 women, 2 men, but because I'm inspired by the Kane family, I just want to call it spouse.
Okay.
And going forward, that's how I want to operate, spouse. Because I don't want men to feel like, well, that ain't me, and then miss the point. And I don't want women to feel like, well, that ain't. So just one of you probably feel this way. Now it's up to you two to have the conversation as to who is what. But one of you probably feels this way, if not both of you, on certain levels. So here's my number 1. Spouses do not want to negotiate sexual opportunity. We want to be wanted. I don't have time to come in and ask Leticia, hey, can I get some tonight? I don't have time for that. And that's why I think affairs are so attractive. Because in an affair, nobody's asking these questions. I've never heard an affair where they had to have a whole bunch of conversation. They saw, meet up spot. There was no, can I do this? Can I just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
How much more should it be in marriage? For me, I don't want to negotiate sexual opportunity.
Yeah. I think the other side of that coin is you have to be mindful of what your spouse's day is like. And what they have on their plates to do. Like, so if you have a spouse who gets up crack of dawn, gets out of the house, works all day, comes home, cleans or cooks, preps, the family for dinner, tries to clean up a little bit after dinner, and then goes to the bed and needs, it's supposed to be like at 100%. I think that's a stretch. I think being able to kind of consider the other, sure, you don't ever want a spouse to be feel like they're in a deficit. So but I think you do need to. Can
I give a communication
mindful.
point?
Yeah.
Talk. On the nights, I'm talking about for me. Mm-hmm. And those of you who are like me, you can follow my lead. On the nights that I know I want some, We just going out. We're just gonna go out to eat. And the minute I say let's go out to eat,
That's the trigger.
you already know.
You know, I'm gonna say, is Seth coming?
I don't care. We're going to eat. We ain't gonna have sex at the restaurant. When we get back home,
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'm taking away one of those. I'm taking away one of them problems.
Well, it's interesting that you're
Prepping
saying
and
that.
cooking and serving. I'm getting rid of all of that.
Yes, Kathy, that's true. That's interesting that you're saying that, because I say, and this could be for whoever is the meal maker.
This your number 2?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whoever is the meal maker, the person who's responsible for, prepping dinner every night, thinking about what the meal is going to be. The opposite should take a night. Don't say it. Just take a night and say, I'm handling dinner, or do something like out of the box, like barbecue in the rain. That's one of my favorite things. Do something just to say, I acknowledge, that you are putting in the time and the effort daily to think of a meal, to prepare the meal, to put it before us, to take that off of the mate, whoever it is.
How many ways can you cook chicken?
Not just chicken. It could be anything. You know what I mean? It could be anything.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, it could be anything. But it's the thought is, I'm taking this from you today. You don't have to think about.
I know. We can't go to Chili's. We can't do Applebee's.
Going out is a nice thing sometimes, but sometimes it's the effort. Yeah, I could spend a couple of bucks taking you to a restaurant. Sometimes it's the effort of, I put something together with my own hands for us. I think,
peanut butter and jelly?
I appreciate not peanut butter and jelly. In our early years, Dion used to pride himself on being able to recreate things that he'd seen. So, hey, I have an idea to do this. So he made this kind of spaghetti, this strange spaghetti, and he made this. It was strange. I ate it and I appreciated it because you took the night. But he would do that often. It is something. Even the days he's like, honey, don't worry about, if you're tired, don't worry about, cooking. But not even getting to that. Just saying, hey, I got you tonight.
I tell you that every night.
Don't you worry about cooking. I got you tonight. And I would say, just watching you, even in our early years, watching you prepare a dinner, it's an awesome thing to see.
Does it make you desire me sexually?
You know what? You're gonna have to try that out.
Test
it out. All right, next.
Coming up. All right, here's one. Hearing groans and moans from your spouse are not always a sign of pleasure. Sometimes you need to cut your fingernails. And sometimes
good Lord,
you need to get your elbow out of somebody's midsection or their inner thigh.
I think what he's saying is, have the conversations about intimacy. Yeah. What works and what doesn't work.
I've been in a situation where for 10 minutes, I thought I was bringing pleasure. 10 minutes, I thought I was bringing pleasure. And then all of a sudden I heard, oh, can you please go cut your nails? I was like, all that moving and all that noise had nothing to do with pleasure. It's like, no, you got a jagged fingernail and it's cutting me. I thought I was doing something special. I was a little hurt.
Oh, Lord.
But I recognize, hey, not all groans and moans means that the person who's giving them is being pleasured. Sometimes you need to cut your fingernails. Or in some cases, you need to get your elbow out of somebody's stomach or out of their inner thigh. Cut that out. Go ahead. What are you laughing at?
I just think it's words of wisdom from the Evans family.
Oh God.
I think a big thing is I think we talked about it last week about finances and sharing finances and having the conversations around finance. I think it's important for couples to share in the the bills, in talking about the family's finances and where their goals are, future goals are with the finances for their children, for homes, for their children's education, whatever it may be. I think there should be lots of conversation around finances. It's just important. Like I said, our early years, we did all of our finances together. We sat down, we knew where everything was going, and we had monies allocated to ourselves. I think there's something beautiful in being able to sit down with one another and say, okay, here is what our family is doing. Here is where our money is going. And we are both aware, not just one, but we are both aware. So it's another form of connection, in the areas that could cause friction. Communication, finances, sex. It's another way of kind of staying connected.
All right, here's my 3. Do the small things consistently well without excuse. Small things, the things that take no effort, but do them consistently, and do them consistently well without excuse. If your wife has a particular pillow, leave her pillow on her side. If your spouse
That's
has
very kind of you.
If your spouse if you drove the car last and there's no gas in the car, get some gas, or at least tell your spouse there is no gas in the car, so that they can make arrangements as to how. Do the small things consistently well and without excuse. Give hugs, give kisses, know what they like. Do they like flowers? Do they like kisses on the forehead, on the cheek? Where do they like being touched? That's non-sexual for you, but it's a happy place for them. And so do the small things consistently well and without excuse. Don't find reasons to not do the small things. Do the small things consistently well and without excuse.
That's nice. I like that. My next one it's really kind of personal. Now, I'm not anticipating it's going to happen, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's something. I say help with the upkeep of the home, both parties. For me, one of the big things for me is when I drive up to the house, if I see weeds and disheveled shrubs, and it does something psychologically to me. It bothers me. So I know that's not Dion's deal. He's articulated that I don't do outside work. I don't do gardening.
Hey, that's not.
I don't do gardening. I don't do outside.
I don't do
work.
gardening.
You don't do gardening, or shrubs, or pulling weeds.
No, you almost cut your finger off doing it. So don't. I don't want to.
I do. I can't say I like doing it, but I like seeing the product. And so I just think for both, like, just chip in with the things that need to be done around the house, and not have to have one or the other have to ask. Just do what you see.
Can you pay for it to be done? Is that okay?
I think paying for it is fine. Okay, as long as it's being
in grass and stuff like that, I'll break out.
I mean, not even that. Not just. I mean, in other areas as well. I just said the shrubs and the weeds. But if you see something needs to be done and it's not being done, it may be something that's on your other mate's plate to do, but it's one of those things that has to fall off for them to keep moving forward. Just do it. See it and do it.
All right. Here's my number 4. Might be kind of controversial. Your children do not come first, and they will not side with you in a conversation regarding your spouse. I know there are parents. My kids come before anybody. No, they don't.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, ask your children, is it okay for them to come first if it's going to create disharmony in your marriage? Your spouse comes first, and then your children.
Yeah.
You got another one?
The other one kind of ties into something we chatted about. You were saying you don't want to ask, and I was saying you don't have to wait. Like, you don't have to wait for a green light to initiate. Sometimes just move forward. You don't need to wait for a green light. You don't need to wait for me to say okay.
Yes, a man does need to wait for a green light.
In an unmarried situation.
We're not talking about unmarried.
I know. That would be a true thing. In a married situation, I think You can
It's a lot
initiate.
of factors. We're not talking about initiating. You said just
I
green
said
light.
green light. You don't have to wait for a green light.
That,
you don't have to wait for me
that
to
works
say,
if the wife doesn't have hella rules. Yeah. You catching up with me?
no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Next.
All right, get last one. Your spouse is smart. But what did I say right here?
You're smarter?
No, I would never say that.
Just kidding.
Your wife is smart, but prone to mistakes, not tied to emotions. Sometimes your wife is smart, but when they make mistakes, those mistakes are not always tied to their emotions. They're just mistakes. And you gotta be all right with that. You gotta be all right with that. People make mistakes.
Yeah. Both sides.
I said spouse. I didn't say wife. Did I?
No, I thought you said wife.
No, spouse.
Spouse.
All right, what do you
Y'all don't mind, can I take you to down North Carolina? Outside the county line, just for a few moments. I'm living that life. And with the I shall not stray. Good God Almighty. I'm living it like thank you, Lord. And with the Lord, I shall not stray. Like the beacon of night. There you go. Fly away. Jesus, Jesus. I believe when it calls for me, you'll welcome me. Yes, you will. See your face, you'll welcome me. Somebody ought to be your witness. I'm getting out this holiday day. You've been faithful about a few things. Wow! Yeah, you want to be. When he comes again, I'm trying to get ready. I want to be ready. Oh, welcome me. Come on, somebody. Hey, ow! Watch this, Lord. Watch this. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Issues After Dark, Donna Williams, Deion Evans, special guest, Leticia Evans. Hey, Donna, you're in the hot seat.
Yes, sir.
You're in the hot seat.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
We had a conversation
Yeah.
about next week. this particular broadcast on Thursday being about us questioning you.
I love the laugh.
Us questioning you. We want to get a wise woman with maturity and a lot of life
And
perspective
hindsight.
on some things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
creating questions
Oh
that
Lord.
we will be asking you, and then just let the chips fall where they may.
Hallelujah.
That'll be fun.
You should have
Okay.
the ability or the option for people to pose questions too. Like some of the IAD community, if they have questions that they want
They
to,
can put in the comments.
I'm saying in general, not just during our conversations, not during a show, but like show topics. You know, hey, I have an interest in this. Maybe you guys can talk about this on, on Thursday night, or can you, maybe delve into this area of interest. I don't know. I just think it'd be nice to have, I love that, to have a
Gabby said,
input.
"Don't expect a marathon. You're lucky to get it."
No, those long days. Yeah, I mean,
well, if you put it down right, it won't be long. It'll be quick. I'm just saying. Make sure you get into it, put your back into it. Wow. You can do it, put your back into it.
Wow. Both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Both ways.
Right.
Quickie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we're in our final comments. We're in the final segment of the show. A lot on communication. We got into more conflict than I thought we would talk about and discuss. But I guess, it's like that's where communication is most sensitive.
Yeah. That's where it gets stuck.
You guys' thoughts?
Yeah. Conflict. Communication is often about conflict. Otherwise, we just go about doing our daily thing without really having the conversation about anything with each other. Again, from my perspective, and the only time we really sit down, we meaning spouses sit down to communicate, is in conflict. And there's not something quite off center about that. It should also be a way of life in marriage that you are communicating on all fronts, and not just when an issue comes up. So yeah, we have to get better. And I would just like to say, as the sisters used to say, the old mothers used to say back in the day, marriage takes more than a notion. Just want to put that out there. I'd like to be married. Yes, but why? Because once you're in it, you're in it.
It's work.
And you've got to maneuver and navigate. So you better think about it first and have the conversations first before you
enter in.
tie the knot, as they say.
Yeah.
Takes more than a notion. Yeah.
Tisha, your thoughts?
I just think it is common. I think Gabby made a statement about that. It's common in relationships to have, some sort of conflict in communication. It happens. I think the bigger thing is, what's the commitment? What is the commitment in the relationship? Is a commitment that, we may have struggles in our conversations. We may have difficult conversations. We may have, difficulties in how we communicate. But are we committed to this? Are we committed to learning each other and walking in this together, despite? Because the vow is bigger than a few conversations, a few hard conversations.
Exactly.
I think it's it's about, do I love you enough to be able to have this hard conversation and still be able to love you on the other side of it?
And know that I will be loved.
You will be loved.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll be loved back. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, for me, no conversation needs to be postponed.
He went back there.
No, I'm just being honest.
He did.
My final comment.
Give your final comment. Go right ahead.
To be continued.
He went back there.
To be continued.
I just think it shouldn't be postponed. Once we both recognize there's an elephant in the room, let's get that elephant out the room as fast as possible before it stampedes on us. There's nothing good that has ever materialized from knowing communication is necessary and it being avoided. just nothing good. And you run some painful risk, and you open some doors that may not be easy to close. That's why if you're going to have communication problems and conflict, it's best that you both do stay in the house. Because if one person leaves the house, you talking about the devil having room. He's going to have
It's his playground.
It's going to be all bad.
I'll share a funny anecdote. My husband did that once in the midst of a conversation. He stormed out the house, and 5 minutes later he was back, and I went, "I thought you were gone." He said, "I didn't have any place to go." So he came back home.
But see, what I love about that is maturity.
Mm-hmm.
He knew there was a time he could have stayed out there longer. He could have become immature.
And found something.
But at this point, when you stay out there
it would have found
you.
Yeah.
It will find you.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant to say this. In our marriages, well, I'll say that for another time, because that's a whole nother subject matter. Talking about what my wife thinks other women think of me when I leave the house versus the reality of what it is. When I leave the house, she thinks women are outside with their cars running, waiting to just follow me around town to catch me at my next stop.
I see him.
That tells you what she thinks of you, Dion.
I love it. I love it. But the truth is, I can walk outside with nothing on, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Well, I guess I couldn't do it. I mean, if I did that,
you know what?
Somebody would say something.
And thank you all for listening to Issues After Dark with Donna and Dion. I'm Leticia, your special guest for Thursday nights.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no.
So I want to appreciate those of you who've been listening with us tonight.
Yeah.
Alana, she says exactly, Leticia. It's our commitment to our vows. Amen. And then she goes on to say, yes, get that elephant out of the room. Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, your marriage is precious. Your marriage is more awesome than you think. Do not let anything outside of you two get in the way of it. Don't let no emotion. Don't let no financial situation. Don't let no bad news. Don't let no supervisor on your job. Don't let no bad employee. Don't let no situation. Don't let your kids cause you in your marriage to refuse to communicate to one another. Your marriage is bigger than that. You two have decided to dedicate to one another. There's out of all the people that 8 billion people on the planet right now. And you two are in a covenant of holy matrimony called marriage. Protect it.
Yeah.
You two are a team. You are a dynamic duo. Protect it.
Yeah.
Have the small communications so that the big communications will be far and few between. Anything else, Donna, before we get about here?
Yeah. No. Well said. Well said.
Leticia, what about you?
Oh, I hope Gabby's blood pressure went down.
Yeah.
We sorry, Gabby.
Yeah.
We're sorry, Gabby.
But we love you. All right, you guys. Good night. God bless.
Good night.
You have been listening to Issues After Dark with Donna Williams and Dion Evans. Follow updates regarding Issues After Dark on Bitter Cup Media. Follow Bitter Cup Media on your favorite social media platform. Listen live each night, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Join the conversations and please ensure your support. Donations to support this broadcast can be sent to Cash App, Venmo, or Zelle at Bitter Cup Media. And as our hosts would say, good night and God bless you.
This is Shanina Shumate from Oakland, California. You are listening to Bitter Cup Media.
Thank you for tuning in to Bitter Cup Media for your broadcast news. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Search Bitter Cup Media. Tell a friend, coworker, or family member to join you in listening to our cutting-edge radio broadcast. Remember this, even if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our hearts, and He knows all things. Bitter Cup Media, signing off.
Clap your hands. Clap your hands, everybody. Praise Him because you're still standing. Praise Him because you're still here. Praise Him because all things work together. Hey, y'all clap your hands. Let's celebrate. Let's dance in here. Come on. Oh. Oh. Let's go, come on. Let's go, come on. Let's go, come on. Let's go, come on. You're not jumping. You're not praising. Oh. Yeah! 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 Oh. Yeah!